Yo, 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 baby pop. Hey, y'all, it's your favorite perky barista, Juanita Michelle, and I am right here at the People's Coffee House, Third Perk in beautiful downtown Dayton. Today, I have my sister, friend, mentor, coach, I could go on and on, client, favorite customer, supporter, ... Dr. Karen.
Yay!
Yay, you. Okay, how about you?
I love you.
Because I love you.
I love you.
And she is here with us on the Broken Entrepreneur podcast. And remember, the Broken Entrepreneur was created not to celebrate brokenness, but to acknowledge that in order to bring about change, sometimes you got to admit that things are broken. And I am discussing with other successful entrepreneurs like Dr. Karen, their challenges, and learn how they overcame. It is the overcomers that really help us understand how we can better get over any challenges that we're coming through on our own. Because sometimes we believe we're doing it by ourselves. Have you ever felt like you were doing something alone?
Okay, hold up. Can we talk about the whole concept of being broken?
Sure.
Because I really think that is a metaphor for so many things in life.
Ooh, share.
So, first of all, I have to give a plug to Third Perk, the People's Coffee House, because I don't even drink coffee, and I feel welcome at the coffee house. I drink tea, and I am so special that I have a drink just for me called the Raspberry Beret,
Yes.
which is hot chocolate with a shot of raspberry syrup. So if you don't drink coffee, but you like hot chocolate, you can ask for my drink, Raspberry Beret.
The raspberry.
So, brokenness.
Yes,
Remember when I broke my leg?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So they don't know, but I broke my leg in October of 2021. And I broke my leg at a concert. I went to see Earth, Wind & Fire, and it was a great concert. I went to see Earth, Wind & Fire, and they were just rocking out. And I remember saying to my husband, they're just rocking. And oh my gosh, they're old, but they're just rocking. And I'm old too, right? And then Philip Bailey said, jump, jump. And I jumped. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I injured myself. I didn't know. But later that evening, when it was time to go, my leg just hurt so badly. And I told my husband, oh my goodness, something's wrong with my leg. You're gonna have to carry me back to the hotel. And he's like, no, sis, 1-800-UBER.
Sylvester.
I don't even know that he said that, but that sounds like a great story.
It does.
Yeah. So anyway, we went to dinner, and then my leg just hurt even more and more. So we went back to the hotel, went to sleep. The next morning, my leg hurt even more, and I called my sister, who's not a medical professional, but I'm saying my leg hurts, and she said, is it warm to the touch? Do you see anything? And I said, no. She said, you could have a blood clot. So I come back to Dayton, because we were in Cincinnati, go to urgent care. And if you say blood clot, medical professionals,
Oh, they get very serious.
they get very serious. So I go to urgent care, say blood clot. They say, we can't help you. You need to go to ER, go to ER. And interestingly enough, even though I talked about what happened, jump, my leg is injured, there was no x-ray.
That wasn't the first thing that would happen?
No, the diagnosis or the comment was, well, Mrs. Townsend, when you reach a certain age,
Oh.
you just can't do what you used to do.
Oh.
So I was sent home with an ACE bandage. And they didn't even wrap my leg. They just gave me the ACE bandage. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm a doctor, but not that kind of doctor.
Oh.
So I went home. This is a long story, but I promised the point. I went home, and I was told, if you're not better in 2 days, go back to see your doctor. So 2 days later, I go back to see my doctor, and she's like, oh, you probably just pulled a muscle. If you're not better in 2 weeks, come back. So for 2 weeks, I'm in pain.
And hobbling.
I'm hobbling around, but I'm still working.
Are you still wearing heels?
I was still wearing heels, but then I switched to tennis shoes. I was kind of smart because I couldn't stand the pain. But, everybody was saying, all the medical professionals were saying, it's just muscle strain, you're old, whatever. So I go back 2 weeks later, and my doctor says, well, you're just a unicorn. We can't figure this out. And I said, how about an MRI? And she said, well, you know, those are very expensive. And I said, well, let me worry about that.
Yes.
So we scheduled the MRI, but it was for 2 weeks later. So for 2 more weeks, I'm hobbling around, and I work on my feet. I stand up
Yeah,
in
you
front of
do.
people, but I'm working. I'm doing conferences. I had a 4-day women's retreat. I did a leadership program. I'm working. So from the day of jump to the MRI was 5 weeks.
Wow.
5 weeks. I remember during that time my uncle passed away in Kentucky, and I went home to Kentucky and
You
had
drove
to.
yourself, didn't you?
I rode, but
Okay.
I had to. The church I grew up in has 60 steps from the street to the top, and I'm hobbling up the steps. So I finally get the MRI on a Friday, and on Saturday my phone rings, unknown number, and I almost didn't answer it because I thought it was spam. But I answer it, and it's the doctor who read the MRI, and she says, "Are you walking around?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Are you in a boot?" And I said, "No." She said, "You have a fractured tibia." So for 5 weeks, I walked around with a broken leg. And even though I was in pain and I went to the people who should have been able to diagnose it,
Yeah.
it was dismissed. It was like, "Oh, you're old. Oh, you pulled a muscle. Oh, it's a strain." And even though I was in excruciating pain, I started to try to talk myself out of the pain. Well, they said it's only a pulled muscle, so it's probably not that bad.
Yeah.
And even though I had difficulty walking and moving about, I tried to give it some other explanation. So the point about being broken is sometimes we're broken, and even when you tell people, they don't acknowledge your brokenness.
Right.
And then after a while, when your brokenness goes unacknowledged, you try to give it some other explanation.
Right.
But if you don't acknowledge and respond to the brokenness in a timely fashion, you do more damage.
Yes.
So what should have been a healing process of 6 to 8 weeks, we are 2 years later, and I'm still not 100%. And I still, you wear your cute shoes to walk in the building, but then you put
Yes.
on your flats. And for the viewers, I asked when I came in, "Are you going to show my feet?" Because I don't have on heels to match my fancy dress. I have on flats
Yeah.
because of an undiagnosed or misdiagnosed brokenness.
Missed. Yeah.
So sometimes, does that happen in your business?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to ask you or are you asking me?
Well, okay, so, and I'm happy that you did because I had to define what was going on because it wasn't like no one was really, I was really just walking around like normal but I wasn't doing anything. Like I was, you kind of like damaged goods. And I was just really just trying to put a face of okay. So I get up, I got dressed, I may even put a little makeup on, do something to my hair, and then I would sit in a space. Like I wasn't doing anything. I just looked okay. So my looking okay, I finally recognized that I wasn't okay, but I recognized that. No one diagnosed it for me. It wasn't, I had a manager who, and I remember at the onset of her employment, like having discussions with her about the numbers and recording the numbers and understanding what the business is doing. And if she was truly managing a space, then she would have said, hey, these numbers aren't looking well, because those would have been management conversations that we would have had. So I was really walking, and there was no one leading my business. No one leading my business, no one managing my business in multiple spaces. So when you have a year like that, it's almost unrecoverable in a sense, because it's like no one was manning the ship. So now you have to go and fill up holes that are really, really deep. And it's like, where's the triage for that? It's like,
I love these medical
yeah,
metaphors.
because I am very aware of just how harmful it is to walk around and you're not okay, and you're continuing to operate, and it's like, but this hand doesn't operate well, but I'm gonna keep on pulling on, the levers, and I'm gonna keep on walking, and I'm gonna keep on, even though I'm just operating as if it's okay. It's not okay. It's like walking over a bridge in Brazil that is ancient and old and made out of wood, and it's worn. Every step could land you down under.
But don't you think, or I'm not going to say you, speaking I sentences, it has been my experience that when you are a small business owner and someone asks you, how's business? You always want to say,
Sometimes my answer is, it could always be better. Because I don't ever want to say, oh, we're doing just enough. Because people tend to think that, especially in my case, because I was operating multiple locations, so you're okay. Because you're operating multiple locations. Well, when I looked and I started really evaluating the number, and I'm really going back to assess what I'm truly looking at, I'm operating multiple spaces that aren't performing. So I wasn't having the shining star, because downtown, as my shining star, I let it dim because I wasn't taking care of it, and I didn't have someone to manage it. So my shining star, I let dim. And so when you have two little bitty spaces, and they're just eating off of your shining star. So no, we're not okay. And on top of my story, as I'm acknowledging my brokenness, then you have a corporate giant move into the neighborhood. So as I am experiencing my own brokenness, and I'm trying to find my own way back, then you have a powerhouse move into the community, and the community is excited that they're there. And we actually saw the closure of a very well-established coffee house in downtown Dayton. And I'm going to say it had to be due to a powerhouse moving directly across the street. So when that powerhouse came, I did feel sorry for myself, but I immediately started empathizing for that business, because that business was in downtown Dayton way before the development boom started. And what a fine feather in your cap to be a pioneer. And when the corporate people come, then you know that you know that it's rising, it's elevating, because most corporate giants, they go into a space after they know that there's a population that's going to support this business. They come because there is a projection for growth and upward mobility. And when they come, regardless of how long you were there, it's just, people are happy that this familiar place is there, but they don't understand that abandoning your hometown hero is killing your hometown hero. And I don't think they understand the correlation between the two. If you don't support small businesses, and I've been saying this since 2015, if you want your small businesses to thrive, to stay alive, you have to support them. And you have to support them at a rate that is stronger than you would support anyone else. Because at the end of the day, it's the small town business that is really looking for the support of that small town to sustain. So, yeah. Brokenness. Y'all.
Brokenness.
Yes. But for me personally, a part of my healing process and for my business is really just being present. Like, I found that my business does better when I'm here. And I've never, ever, even when I wrote my business plan, I always talk about my business plan, my business plan. Even in writing the business plan, it was never a goal for me to be full-time in my business. I always wanted to be an owner, operator, but a part-time operator. I always wanted to depend on crafted, talented baristas to support the business. And but I'm finding that I'm needed, and people want to see me, and they want that.
I think you are part of the brand. I mean, you think of Third Perk, and I think of Miss Juanita.
Oh, look. But it doesn't exist without me. So I get that part too. But yeah. So it's one of those things that's, for me, difficult because I had a career that I really loved.
But I think that's part of, I think of Third Perk, I think of Miss Juanita.
Okay.
Which can be a positive, and it can be a challenge because it means Miss Juanita always has to be there.
Yes.
And it means Miss Juanita doesn't have life outside of Third Perk.
Yes.
And maybe the solution is, how do we transfer our passion and our vision so that others can hold up the mantle? And then maybe I know what Miss Juanita's not going to be there, but Miss Juanita's essence and spirit and vibe will be there.
Yes. And that, and I hope that that's communicated through the art that's on the wall, the music that plays, the beautiful plants that are growing. Like, I've tried to pour myself into the space so that people have that sense of me, whether I'm here or not. The colors, like you see the bright yellow, that is my color. That is my color. I feel like I have a trademark on the color.
You do. You do.
But
I'm afraid to wear yellow.
don't be afraid. We can share it.
For sure.
Sometimes.
Okay.
So, but I want to have people, whether I'm here or not, to come and support the business and be confident that the products that they're going to have are going to be the same quality if I was pouring it myself. So, and I think I did it at best when I opened the first time. I think I did it well when we reopened here. I think we did it well when we opened the Gem City Market. So I'm really good at opening a space. Maybe not so well as incorporating people into the fold as we are operating. So I understood after I did my own SWOT analysis, because I started digging into the business. I started looking at our SWOT analysis, our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And one of my opportunities was to build a better training program for my existing space. So if I'm incorporating someone into the space, then they would be able to be just as strong as if we were closed and I'm going to take you guys through this process and this is how you do it. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on, being able to better train my baristas so that they are operating at a level that I'm comfortable with walking away and they're going to give you that quality drink.
I think that's a challenge of all small business owners, because it starts because of your vision, and it's almost like your baby, and you don't want to hand your baby off to just anyone, because nobody's going to love your baby the way you love your baby. But as a mom, I have to think about when I had babies, I had to find nanny who was going to take care of Kaylin and Saran so I could go to work.
Yes.
So
I remember, shout out to Alyssa and Will, a part of that first Third Perk crew. And I remember the first evening, they said, Miss Juanita, we promise we'll take care of your baby. You know, they were serious. They were like, we'll take care of your baby. We won't let you down. You can leave. They said, you need to leave. And that was right at our opening. And I looked at them like, I'm not leaving y'all with my baby. This is my baby. And at that point, there had been not too many moments that I had been away from the coffee house while it was open. And so I was like, they said, trust us. They said, Miss Juanita, we got it. And they did have it because they were a part of a different process. You know, they named the espresso machine, and you know, you walk in the door and they're yelling, how can we perk your day up? And you know, they really drunk the juice. We went through this whole thing. They were in 46 West 5th Street when there was dust. And they saw that building, that room turn into the space that you knew as Third Perk. But they saw it before it was Third Perk.
because people will support what they help to create.
Yes, they will.
And when people are a part of the foundation, they feel co-ownership.
Yes.
And so they want to see it successful because they're a part of it.
Yes.
And when people come in, a lot of people want to be a part of it after it's shiny and everybody's excited about it, and they don't have that same level of commitment.
Right. Right. Because sometimes it's hard because you're really coming into something of what you think it is. And what you think it is may be different from what's going on. Because like right now, you know, my employees coming in, they're coming into a business that is struggling. That is like, it's like, I hope we can go another day. I hope we've got another, you know, I'm like, we are struggling to maintain and to stay. So I have, you know, so it's kind of like, do you not, you know, it's like, and in this whole battle, because it's a battle. So in this battle, it is, you know, it's like you are in it to win. So I've been here. You know, I'm here at the opening, I'm here at close, because I'm fighting for my business just to stay open. And really trying to reassure my customers that number one, we're gonna be here. Because we've had so many major HVAC issues. So one issue after the other, and you get one fire down, and it's like, oh, the smoke is clear. No, the smoke just moved to Ohio. It's still there. It's still there. So now we've got one issue cleared, but now there's another issue. And then, so it's kind of like, it's like, And it's this continuation, but customers don't care about those things. Customers want to go get their coffee. They want to know that you're going to be there when you say you're going to be there. They want to know that between that 1 hour that you said you're going to be there to the time that you said you're not going to be there, they want to know that you're there. And if you let them down, they may not be willing to forgive you. It doesn't matter that you go to McDonald's and they're out of the ice cream because you want an ice cream cone from McDonald's. They don't have ice cream cones. You get more grace as McDonald's, a corporate giant, running out of something versus, you know, little old Third Perk that only serves this amount of anything on any given day. They ran out of this. They're always out of something. It's like, well, I'm not a corporate giant. And unlike McDonald's, where they may have some mix in the back because they are, they may have an overabundance of stock. We don't have an overabundance of stock. And no one's built me a space in the back of my building to house other stuff. You know, we have a little bit of refrigeration, a little bit of shelving, And so we have to buy things just in time. It's not a matter of an abundance. And then if you get into any issues with cash flow, then, what do you do with that? So you have all of these things in the motion, and customers don't care. They just want what they want. You don't have any chicken salad? And it's like, dun, 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 dun. It's like, no chicken salad?
I think that's why relationships are important. And I think that's something that small businesses can do that larger businesses cannot.
Okay.
So I'm a small business owner. I do organizational development. I do diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there are the giants out there that I won't name because I don't want to get in trouble for, copyright infringement.
Okay.
But to do business with those giants, you have to go through layers and layers and layers of people. And when you hire that giant to do a job, you may get their best consultant, or you might get their worst. You might get a veteran consultant, or you might get someone who started 2 weeks ago. And I used to be intimidated by the giants.
Okay.
Because it's the giant and it's me.
Yes.
But the way I frame it is when you hire Townsend Consulting, you're hiring me.
Yes.
And I'm the person who's going to show up for you. I'm the person who is going to walk this path with you. I'm the person who's going to be committed to you. And the reason I say it's relationships because it's me. I am the CEO, the CMO, the CHRO, and the janitor. I'm everything.
Absolutely. Same here.
And there are times when I've been sick, I broke my leg, my uncle died, and I couldn't show up. And it's like, oh no, what am I going to say to this client because I can't show up? Because of the relationships, it's go do what you need to do.
Yes.
And we'll see you when you get back.
Right.
So I think relationships are important. And I think even in this space, if you run out of chicken salad because I have a relationship with you, I'm not going to be mad because I know when you make chicken salad, because you're not a conglomerate,
Right.
I can say, Miss Juanita, I'm coming down. Can you please not put grapes in the chicken salad?
Right.
So I know I am going to get that special attention
Yes.
at Third Perk that I'm not going to get anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely. Or the other thing that customers get from here that you may not get anywhere else. I had a customer who came in and he was like, well, I'm vegan, I'm this, I'm that. And he wanted something. He's like, I'm hungry. And I went and made hummus. Like I had some chickpeas and I was like, well, I'll make you this and da da da. And so now I have a practice of making house-made hummus. So I'm not purchasing hummus anymore. I'm making it. So out of a need for a customer, I now have a whole lane that I could drive.
So I'm going
in.
to interrupt that.
Yes.
I'm going to interrupt it. Not out of a need,
Well,
but
it's a
but
benefit.
as a commitment to serving my clients.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to do what they need.
Yes, and I do that all the time. I'm accommodating with time, meetings. I take orders like 24 hours. There's a lot of more established companies for catering. If you contact them within a 24-hour block, they're not going to be able to take care of you. But I can handle, those small orders, for small groups, and it's like, oh, sure, I've got you. And that's my niche. My niche is really making sure that I'm caring for that micro enterprise that, who may have a pop-up training or something that came up that they weren't expecting. And now they can call me and I can partner with that person. And they know that they can depend on me. So.
Well,
yes.
I don't feel broken.
Well,
I feel on the mend.
You know what? I know for sure that I'm on the mend because I am in what they call the flow. Yes, I'm in the flow. So, and what I mean by being in the flow is I have seen my numbers begin to creep up into the right direction. Not where I want them to be, but they're creeping upward. I look around my space and it belongs to me again. I'm beginning to get gifts again every day. Oh my God, I got flowers yesterday, and today I got a gift of service, and who knows what will happen tomorrow.
So why do you think that's happening again?
Because I believe again. So the other part of when you're broken and you stop believing, your mindset isn't as strong. You're not doing those things that are.
I'm sorry, it's my phone. I didn't turn it
Look.
off.
So when you're in brokenness, then you're not doing those morning rituals that you've always done that have made you successful. You're not waking up grateful. You're not waking up and feeding your spirit. You're not waking up exercising. You're not eating healthy. You're not drinking adequate water. It is holistic.
It is. I think a lot of people who are in business, I think they start off as technicians.
Yes.
But they're not entrepreneurs. And that's not any shade on anyone. I mean, that's me. I know how to do what I do.
Yes.
I know how to give a keynote speech. I know
Yes.
how to put together a training. I know how to create a course manual. I know how to do those things, but the business acumen was not anything that I knew how to do. And it goes back to what I said. People say, oh, how's business? And business is great. I was not like you saying it could be better. I was just straight up lying a lot of times. Business is great. Business was not great.
Really?
No.
Tell me about how business was not great for you.
Business was not great a lot of times. I'm very blessed that when I started my business, that's the other thing. So when people say, when did you start your business? I started my business in 2000, which is 23 years ago, which seems like, wow. And I didn't do it initially, but now I tell people, I played at business for 15 years. I played at business.
For 15 years.
I mean, if I got a project, I got a project. If I didn't get a project, I didn't get a project. Luckily for me, I'm part of a 2-income family. So
Yes.
initially my husband was floating it. And if I got a project or a contract, it was gravy. That
Okay.
finance the vacations or the trips or something special.
Okay.
But as far as making a huge impact to the bottom line of our family,
Wow.
and I think a lot of people are in business, but if you ask them, well, and you wouldn't, people will tell you about their sex life before they'll tell you about their money.
Right.
But if you were to ask them about their money, it's not a business, it's a hobby. I mean, that's a cliche, but a lot of people don't have a business, they have a hobby. And the critical point for me, the turning point was when I got a coach. And it was an investment. You truly have to spend money to make money.
Yes.
Because I knew how to be a technician. I did not know how to be an entrepreneur. And there's a difference.
There's a
The-
big
the-
difference.
the
Shout
technician-
out to the E-Myth.
Yeah.
The E-Myth
The
book.
technician is, call Dr. Karen Townsend to be a speaker for this event. Write the speech, go deliver it. But how do I invoice this? Or more importantly, how do I price it?
Yes.
And then after I price it, how do I ensure I get paid? And then what if they don't pay me on time? What is my recourse? Okay, now they paid me. How do I get the next project?
Yes.
All of that is being an entrepreneur.
Right.
And I wasn't. I was a hobbyist.
Wow.
I was a hobbyist.
So you had this coach, and this was 15 years into your business?
I got a coach in 2016.
Wow.
And I mean, I had some good years,
Yes.
but after I hired a coach, it went from good to great.
So, do you mind me asking? Do you know the percentage of the jump from like my uncoached moment to wow, I'm really in this club where I want to be? Or, you know, where did that come from?
You mean percentage wise,
Yeah,
or
like how what did the money look like from uncoached to coached?
probably in the first year, it was probably a 50% increase.
Okay.
And then continuously from that point on.
Wow.
Because I learned okay, so let me tell you this exercise we had at one of our first gatherings.
Okay.
We had to write a check. The assignment was write a check for the amount of money you want to generate in your business in the next 90 days.
Okay.
Which was a stretch for me because, you know, we typically talk about how much we want to make in a year.
Yes.
Which allows you to bring me back if I go on a tangent, because I might, which gives you the opportunity to keep pushing. Like, let's say I want to make $1 million this year. Well, if it's February and I've only made $3,
Yes.
then I say, well, I've got the rest of the year to make $1 million. And then it's July and I've made $30. Well, I've got the rest of the year to make $1 million. But when you put it in 90-day increments, then you're doing better checks and balances. Oh my goodness, I've only made this. I need to pay attention.
Right.
So write a check for the amount of money you want to generate in the next 90 days. And I said, I know this is a trick, you know, I need to come up with a number. Let me come up with a big number. So I write my check, and we go around the room. My check was the smallest check in the room.
Oh wow.
And that was one of the first lessons I learned, and that was, I'm not thinking big enough.
Whew, okay.
And when you are in the room with other people who think big, you can't help but to think big.
Right. Right.
So I'm a proponent of masterminds.
Yes.
I'm a proponent of coaching. I'm a proponent of professional development, because if I'm not going to invest in me and my growth, how can I ask my clients to invest in me?
Absolutely. And that was one of my mainstays. My motto is, I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. Because if I'm the smartest person in the room, then that means I'm probably not learning anything. Not that I can't. So I'm not saying that I can't, but I really want to position myself where I am continuously getting information from my mentors and people who are moving into spaces that I want to be a part of. And you have to do that by understanding that you've got so much more to learn, especially in this space. And for me, it's about those relationships. So when I get into the room where I'm in a room of leaders and we have these relationships, then those leaders may think about me when you know, we're having a meeting. We've got 50 people who need to have lunch. Let's call Juanita. She'd be perfect for that. You know, so we are, I'm building relationships. So although you are a coach of diversity and I am the coffee house queen, we still pair together and do so many things together. And because it is, again, that relationship. So I appreciate all those things, and just having an opportunity to, because I'm an educator, I believe in continuously, no, just kidding. There's my boss from Sinclair, Carl Hess. Anyway. So because I'm an educator, I do believe in lifelong learning. And I do believe that I have to continue to fill my cup. because I'm always drinking. So it's always got to be filled up with something. And I also believe that because I'm always I'm willing to try something new. And I have to, because I'm a part of a hospitality world, and my customers are always looking for the newer drink, or, so-and-so is selling blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything like that? So I have to always be willing or have something like that, so we are always ever learning and developing. So I am just happy that I have a tribe that includes women like yourself. Shout out to our SHE-Roes. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm sporting a shirt, Empower Like Karen.
Yay.
Yay. Dr. Karen was actually a part of our first cohort of SHE-Roes. And I haven't talked about SHE-Roes much in the podcast. This may be the first time I've ever mentioned SHE-Roes in the podcast. But we created a storytelling series for women, mainly women of color, who share their stories of how they've succeeded. And it has really morphed into this really cool program. It has grown out of the coffee house. And we're in our 6th cohort of SHE-Roes.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, because we need spaces to tell our stories.
And to be transparent and to be vulnerable.
So when I was a SHE-Roe, I had a story to tell, and it was a story that I had never told before. So I'm being open and honest and truthful and transparent with the women in the room, the women in the coffee house. But Miss Juanita was doing a Facebook Live. And I said, everybody wasn't supposed to hear this story. But the good thing about it, because it was a story that I felt some shame around.
Yes.
About just something that happened in my career, and I was ashamed, and I never told the story, but I told the story, and she live streamed it. But someone in the room said, I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah.
Because it has really freed me. So,
right.
And I do believe when we have the courage to tell our truth, it gives other people permission to tell their truth, and then they realize that they're not alone. So
they're not alone.
And I think that's part of what SHE-Roes is about.
Absolutely.
Because you see these
dynamic women,
just women who are movers and shakers in our community, and you see them up here, but you don't know the journey. And it's like you always see the picture of the person at the top of Mount Everest.
Yes.
When they put the flag in the snow and they say, yay, I made it. But nobody's taking the picture when they're climbing up the mountain and the rope slips and they slide down and
right.
they tear their pants and their leg is bleeding and they're going, mama, or why did I ever do? Nobody takes those pictures.
Yeah.
And that's part of the story. And I think if we don't tell that part of the story, then people think this entrepreneurial journey is easy.
Yeah, it looks insta-famous.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, it's amazing, but there are many lonely hours.
Yes.
There are many long hours.
Yes.
And
cleaning
there's
toilets. Taking
well, I don't
out
have
trash.
to do that in my business,
just
so
all kind
yeah.
of things that aren't so cute.
Right, but worrying that you need to print off this manual and your printer just quit.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do?
Right.
So it's rewarding, but it's work. And then if you do it well, people think it's easy.
Yes, they do.
They think it's easy.
Yes.
So
we have shared a lot today.
yeah.
And we'll have to have you come back because I've enjoyed this. Because guess what, y'all? During this whole conversation, she didn't really tell us about herself. We just started talking about brokenness and we didn't get into the crust of her. Although we did, but we didn't. So you'll have to come back.
I would love to come back.
Would you come back?
I would, yes.
Yes. But before we go, I just want you guys to know how inspirational Dr. Karen is for me. And I'm going to applaud you again for celebrating 30 years coming up with Sister to Sister. I remember, y'all, that I had my suite mate is on her team at Sinclair Community College. And she was like, you need to go to Sister. And I was like, I don't need to go to Sister. I am Sister, okay? I don't need that. And she was inviting me, and I was thinking to myself, I don't need the go girl. You got it. Mm-hmm. Look at you. And I was doing all of these things. Sandra, you weren't looking at it, but I was kind of doing that on the side. But then I had an opportunity to go to Sister to Sister. And it was really after I met you. Mm-hmm. And after I met you, I was like, I think I like her. And then I went to the conference. And I won't miss a conference since I've been to the conference. Because it wasn't superficial. It wasn't just like we don't cheer each other up. You go, girl. You go, girl. No, it was so much deeper than that. And it is about, it's not just empowering ourselves, but it's understanding that there's some work to do in order for you to be empowered. Mm-hmm. And that's the bigger part. I struggled coming into the conference last year. I understand why I was struggling last year because I was broken. Mm-hmm. So when I was walking into the conference, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. I can't do this today. Mm-hmm. But it was because I was broken. It was because I knew that when I go in here, there's some work that I have to do. It's not the cheerleading section. It is truly getting to the crust of things that can help you excel.
But maybe that's a great revelation, because when you always have to be this for everybody else, mm-hmm. when you need it, it's hard to be in that place of neediness.
Yes.
But we're there. So I always tell people that Sister to Sister is by, for, and about real women. So if you think coming to the conference will help you get a promotion, help you close the deal, help you figure out how to make $1 million, it's none of that. It's really all about becoming the best version of you. Because I believe when you're the best version of you, then all those other things will come as a result.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So are we registering for Sister to Sister already?
We will be registering by the end of the week. So sister2sisterconference.com.
Yay. Mm-hmm. So, guys, I want to first, again, thank you. But I want to make you guys understand that your solution is out there. And I hope that we share something during this podcast that helps you on your journey. If you haven't subscribed to the Broken Entrepreneur Podcast, make sure you hit that button, subscribe, so that you know when we have released a new episode. And until next time, I want you to stay perky, keep on brewing up good vibes, and stay right here with us. Dr. Karen.
Juanita.
Peace.